Have you learned about gender liberation? I am reclaiming the term gender abolition. Also, it's spookier. I don't like the term gender liberation either because it really just gender liberation like linguistically suggests that it would be like, yeah, like men can do anything and women can do anything. No, I don't want there to be men and women, you know. I don't want to liberate the categories. I want to liberate us from the categories, which is a semantic distinction not laid out in the term. Gender abolition, however, is very unambiguous. Um, so that's to my preference, you know. Okay. But you can't get rid of gender? That's what you think. Gender, well, keep in mind, different people have different definitions of gender. The definition that I'm referring to is a set of social roles and expectations that are ascribed to people based on their sex. So you know, when we have plenty of social identities, but when we say gender, we're not just talking about any old social identity. We're talking about like an identity that is put onto you because of like basically the genitalia that you're born with, you know. Um, and that's a little cringe, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. How would you permanently abolish gender, though? Well, there's no guarantees. Wouldn't sex-related roles reproduce themselves in society? Yes. Sex-based distinctions would remain. They have to. Sex is encoded in our biology in a way that gender isn't. But I think those differences would be way more limited. When you think of the modern world, what really is the difference between male and female in terms of how you live your day-to-day? Is removing any like social discrimination or stuff, like any social biases or roles, your actual biology, how much does it affect you? I would be willing to bet for the majority of people in like the millennial generation or whatever, they probably go uh months at a time without the biology of their sex having a serious impact on their like role in society outside of dating rituals, which are of course heavily socially influenced, and like maybe getting a period or whatever, you know, stuff like that. But do you understand what I mean? Like the difference isn't that significant. It's not like we're hunter gatherers where the tribe will die unless our greatest and strongest warriors are the one hunting the saber-toothed lions or whatever, you know. We're permitted a great deal more leeway in terms of what people with different biologies are capable of doing. In ye olden days, people who were born short and sick would die. Nowadays, they can just get some antibiotics and live full lives. That's awesome, you know? I don't think that just because sexual distinctions would reproduce themselves in some social roles, I don't think that's necessarily like, I think that you would see an impact like a 100th the size of social distinctions born about by modern gender. Like, for fuck's sake, we decide what clothing we wear based on our biology. Vaush, I don't know, periods are like really impactful in everyday life. I don't think you understand what I'm saying, Miss Moon. I'm saying that it doesn't impact your ability to live the social role of a male, a biologically male person. That you could inhabit the role of a person who is male and live their life and do what they do and fulfill their goals in almost any case. You know, the periods, I'm not saying the periods are insignificant. I'm only saying that we don't have a social need to ascribe strong arbitrary social roles based on sex. Does that make sense? The most we're going to see is like biologically male people are going to be like better at construction work, basically. I mean, obviously, we're always going to be more physically capable of violence, though I think a lot of the willingness to engage in it is also socially determined. Stuff like that. Um, so if gender is a social thing, why is dysphoria a biological issue? I don't think it's always a biological issue. But gender and social roles can influence biological stuff, especially when the biological stuff you're referring to is psychological. Don't you think that arbitrary social roles can significantly affect like psychological conditions like depression and anxiety? I mean, they would have to, right? Do you think it's fair to say a fully transitioned trans man is biologically closer to a cis man than a fully transitioned trans woman or vice versa with the current medical reality? I don't know if there's a way of like empirically determining that. It would really depend on the respect that you're referring to. Like if we're talking about like medical care pertaining to I don't know, like reproductive health, like maybe not, maybe though. I don't know. In some respects, certainly the distinction would be significant. Sorry, I have a hangnail. Jesus, right off my left big toe. Because who would wear shoes? when you're live streaming. I stubbed my toe earlier. I didn't realize there was any negative consequence. I stubbed it. Well, it's just a toe, you fucking degenerates. You all have, well, I guess maybe some of you don't have them. I feel like people go too far in the other direction with the whole stinky feet thing, you know? I work at home, and at the moment, I don't exercise. My entire body is immaculately clean at all points of time, with no exceptions. Got it. There we go. Wash your feet. Well, you know, I do shower. It's been known to happen. If I worked outside or something, I would feel differently because I'm, you know, because then I would. Is abolition in this regard just the social roles, or is it not even calling ourselves male, female, etc.? Just the social roles. I don't think you can, like, abolish the social value of sexual distinctions. That seems to me to be naively, like, arbitrary. You know, like, let's socially pretend that there's not, like, a bimodal expression of sex distribution, which very clearly leads to two distinct, like, groups, you know? Like, I think that's fine, you know? Listen, what's important to understand is that in the 500 years from now, in the gender-abolished future, there's still going to be a ton of top-bottom discourse, and it's going to be very funny, because there's not even going to be a gendered preconception, okay? So you're just going to have people, just all sorts of people, just tearing into each other, over the top-bottom dichotomy, which might actually end up being the more meaningful dichotomy in the long run. Basically, all queer people refer to each other as tops and bottoms, even when it's like two cis lesbians. Look, not always, but sometimes. All right, look, shh. Okay,